Welcome. We're so glad you're here with the Advisor Video Academy. It's great to see some of your faces this morning. Hi, Kathy. Good to see you, Aman. Hey, Christian. We're glad you could join. Laura, so glad you can take this information back to your team as they grapple with your client testimonials. Brian, yay. So glad you're able to join too. I think this is going to be really valuable information for you and your team. So you're here for the Advisor Video Academy. We're talking client testimonials. My co-founder Sharon is here with a bit of a cough, so you're going to hear a little bit more from me. And I am so excited that you're going to have a chance to hear from Marie Swift, who happens to be the founder of the company that Idea Decanter uses for PR, and also does a lot of marketing for advising teams, because we're not talking about PR today. We are here mainly to seize the day with client testimonials. Too few advisors have taken advantage of the SEC ad rule change, so we're so glad you're here getting this information. What we hope you walk away with is some great ideas that you can put into place for your practice. Marie Swift, we are so happy that you're joining us and sharing your experience and your process and formula for how to go about successfully collecting and deploying client testimonials. Thanks for being here.
Fantastic. Thanks for having me. I assume you can see my screens, or you would have told me that you've got a problem. So hi, everybody. I'm working from the road today. And the great thing about being virtual and digital is that we can work from anywhere, can't we? And so I'm thrilled to be here. And I have a few slides prepared. And if we don't get through all of them, no worries. The main reason we want to be here is to talk about testimonials and how video can be a part of that. And then I have some bonus material at the back end of my slides, which if we don't get to it today, you might want to read it, because there's a formula for working with the media and harnessing PR, which is also something that goes hand in hand with being more credible with your clients. So client centers of influence, they all want to know why they want to trust you. Why should they trust you? Why should they share about you? And so over the past 30 years, as I've been working with advisory teams and then some of the influencers like Idea Decanter who want to serve independent advisors, I've been studying what works and what doesn't work. And we know that social proof always works, right? It used to be, before there was the internet, that people would talk over book clubs or church groups. And so today we can do some of that virtually, and video can really give a face and a voice to why you're the best thing out there and why people should be talking about you and sending their friends and family members to you. Now, Idea Decanter and Impact have a couple of clients in common. So not only do we work together, Impact and Idea Decanter, to elevate Idea Decanter's brand, but we're working jointly on this firm. It's called Blue Chip Partners. They're up just out of the Detroit area. And Impact is doing some marketing and PR for them. And Idea Decanter is doing some fantastic video work for them. And we're going to actually show you one of those videos, which happens to be a testimonial video. And it's so touching the way this client speaks about his relationship with Blue Chip Partners and how things are different because of the way they have served him and helped him through the choices that happen in life. So if you're studying these slides, you see that Blue Chip Partners specializes in, typical wealth management, people with money, but they also have a niche in executive compensation. So you can see on their website and on their blog and even on their news page how we're focusing and positioning them in those two key areas. Now, we know that having media mentions goes a long way too. It helps with SEO, with that search engine optimization for the search engine spiders that are crawling and serving up what's the best resource for somebody who knows about, I don't know, executive compensation. Well, maybe Blue Chip Partners ought to be served up. And then when people visit the website, they see the content that Blue Chip is putting out, the written content, the video content, the fact that they're quoted in the media on these topics. And so they look like the better choice than perhaps the firm down the street. They also create their own webinars, as many of you probably do, and also their own videos. But I think when you see, if you were to compare the videos that they do in-house, they're pretty darn good. But the ones that Idea Decanter has done for them are a cut above. So in a minute, we're going to show you this video. On the left, you'll see client testimonial, Chuck Kessler here on the screen. This is just a still shot, but there is a second video client testimonial from Marcy Brogan. And Laura, you guys did both of these, right?
We did.
They were fantastic. The last thing I'll comment on this slide, and then I think we're ready to show the video, is that Blue Chip Partners decided that they would solicit their clients to leave a Google review. They ran it through their compliance officer. They do have ties with Raymond James. They also have their own RAA. So I'm not sure how all of that works as far as compliance. Laura and Sharon, you probably know better than I, and maybe you'll address that later, or people can just get in touch with you if they need to. But what Blue Chip did is they sent a simple email, and Impact helped them craft the messaging, and it just said, "Hi, clients," and they sent this to all their clients. If you have had a great experience working with us, or if you want to just leave any of your thoughts at all, please go to this link on our Google business page and leave your review. And what happened is my team, and I don't know if this is automatic or if it just was some magic my guys did, but when people clicked over, it automatically had 5 stars filled in, because I think that's the way that Google works. So I wish I had Johnny Swift here today to make sure that I said that accurately. But Blue Chip Partners, as a result of that, had over 150,000, 150, not 150,000. 150 positive Google reviews in a very short time. And as a result of that, they have been coming up higher in search engine searches, page searches, and as one of the best places for people in that area with their niche focus for people to check out. So it was simple for them, very simple process. So I'm going to turn it back over to Laura and Sharon. You guys are going to show the Chuck testimonial video.
Yeah, and while we pull that up, what I love about that page that you just shared, Marie, is that it kind of pulls it all together. If you're thinking about gathering client testimonials like this one from Chuck, you're probably focused on, who do I ask? What do I ask? What does it look like? What I love about you sharing that Blue Chip page is it shows the final step of the process, and the way you pulled in the Google reviews. They've got that nice graphic with, Blue Chip by the numbers. So it's really a page you could drive people to that has a lot of really great content. So here's the Chuck story.
Bottom line is, Arizona is my happy place. I love being outdoors. I love exercising, hiking, biking, all of that stuff. I was in Arizona vacationing, but one of my goals was to close on and find a place as a second home. And I knew that there was going to be some needs from Dan and Blue Chip. This market in Arizona is sort of crazy, so you had to act fast. If I didn't, I would have lost the condo. And they were on it just like that. And the monies were transferred, the earnest money, the final payment. I probably should have pulled the trigger about 10 years ago.
And that was just a clip.
Absolutely.
So would you like me to carry on for a little bit and give a couple of more case studies and examples?
Yes.
Well, one thing I wanted to point out before we go on is that, you saw that written disclosure over Chuck's video, and that was required by compliance, that it had to be while he was talking that disclosure came up. It couldn't just be at the end of the video like most disclosures are on videos. So that's something to keep in mind when you're creating these, that compliance is going to ask you to do all sorts of fancy things with these videos.
And you might not have taken the time to read it, but it was stating that he was a client and that he wasn't paid for the testimonial. Both important things as you're selecting who you feature.
Right. Now, of course, clients can comment on any of the platforms where they can place comments, and sometimes the advisory team has the ability to comment back. So in many of the cases of the advisory firms that we're working with, we have a protocol. We already know in advance when we will and when we will not respond as the Blue Chip team, for example, or the next example I'm going to show you is HCR Wealth. So we already have the protocols established. We typically have boilerplate or some kind of a placeholder comment that we're going to use. And sometimes we have to put something that says this is a current client and they were not compensated. Because if you talk to a compliance attorney, they're going to tell you to be aware of entanglement and also, what that looks like if you're commenting back. So sometimes, although we'd like to comment, it's better not to. So check with your compliance team. The next example is actually Intercontinental Wealth Advisors. I spoke out of turn. HCR is going to be my last example. And if any of you are NAPFA members, NAPFA, National Association of Personal Financial Advisors, you can get the full recording of what I'm about to give you, the Reader's Digest version of this webinar that Johnny Swift, who is my partner and also happens to be my son, did for NAPFA earlier this year as a part of the NAPFA Marketing Playbook series. So it's an hour long. And Charlie Lutz, who is the president of Intercontinental Wealth Advisors, came on and he talked about their goals for soliciting client testimonials. And I think as we look at this, you'll see it's a lot more complicated. The process is more complicated for Intercontinental, but this is what they chose to do. So their goals, and maybe some of these resonate with you, is to take advantage of the new SEC marketing rule, allowing these testimonials and endorsements, and then to use them in marketing efforts, to gather the testimonials, to provide credibility and proof of their great service to clients, to give a voice to some of the firm's best clients in their online presence, and also to allow the clients to feel heard and valued. And that was a big takeaway as we went through this process. The clients just loved it. By doing this initiative, it also provided additional resources for the firm's advisors when they're courting new clients and following up with leads. And it gave them a competitive advantage over some of the other firms in their area that weren't able to use or didn't yet embrace the client testimonials. So back to our theme, if you wait, you might get left behind. So think about how you could take a baby step forward if you're thinking on the other end of this video camera, wow, this sounds like a lot. What could I do? Well, maybe you take a page out of the blue chip playbook instead of the Intercontinental playbook, but could be that you want to jump in with both feet and take it on like Intercontinental did. It also gave us a lot of great content for all of our communications, whether it was social or email or website, and it also helped to boost the firm's SEO and online presence. So this, I would say, was on top of the client advisory board meetings that Intercontinental has led or conducted with the help of a professional facilitator. And we learned so much as a marketing team from listening to their clients, and they learned so much from listening to their clients. So here's the process. I'm not going to go through this every step, but I'm going to bring up these steps because it's actually 2 slides long and it's pretty thorough. I'll comment on this slide by saying that Impact helped them create the questions for their clients, and we created a Survey Monkey in order to send out the fields, and it kind of prompted the clients, what would you like to say, and why is this important? I'm going to show you the form in just a minute. This is quite a bit more complicated than what Blue Chip did, but we think it turned out really nicely for Intercontinental. So here is how we collected the survey responses, and then we actually polished up their testimonial and sent it to the client to see if they wanted to make any edits and got their approval. And then we also said, hey, thanks for allowing us to use this on our website. Would you also be so kind as to simply copy and paste this and click here to leave a Google review for us? And we got quite a few nice comments on Google that way as well. And then, of course, we added everything to their website. We promote them on social media. And then also in their email campaigns, we'll feature select testimonials based on what the theme of the newsletter is. So here's what the survey looked like. This is some of the language that we used to introduce the survey. And then this is what the survey itself, some of the fields looked like. Tell us in a few sentences why you have or would recommend Intercontinental to a friend or colleague. How have you benefited by working with Intercontinental Wealth? And what one thing has come out of our work together, something that made a difference? And then thinking back to the beginning of our working relationship, how might things have been different? And so this is a good prompt for our clients to think, how would things be different? As a result, as we said, the goals and the outcomes pretty much match. The voice to the clients, comments that we can share, credibility, testimonials on the website, Google reviews, SEO help, testimonials and emails. So that's how it turned out for Intercontinental. I'd like to throw it back to Laura and Sharon if you guys want to jump in and add anything.
I know a lot of advisors have been collecting either in a folder in their email inbox or in an actual folder in their office comments from clients. You know, you get those, thank you, you have changed my life. Thank you, you have really made a difference kind of emails, and those are savers. So this process really allows you to reach out to all of them. Marie, what would you say you should do if you do have that file folder full of great comments collected over the years?
That would be a great place to start thinking as an advisor, not just looking at them when you're having a glum day and, you know, needing a little reinforcement, but looking through and saying, you know, I was just looking through our folder, Marie, and thank you so much for sending that written email to me 3 years ago or 10 years ago. Now we're permitted to actually make some of your comments heard and seen online. How would it be if I sent this to you, or here it is, I've written it up for you. Does this still resonate? And then if Marie said yes, you could go ahead and use it. Of course, checking with compliance first to make sure that they were comfortable with that one-on-one solicitation.
One more question for you. Do you think there is a sweet spot for length for a testimonial? Because I have seen everything from a pretty concise sentence to, I just found a website this week that had client profile stories that were written out, and they must have been, I don't know, something like 2,000 words. Is there a best practice?
I am not sure that those big long profiles count as a testimonial so much as more maybe a case study or something that augments an ideal client persona, a landing page. We do a lot of work for our clients with building out those personas and then creating pages that speak specifically to their needs with content that speaks specifically to what would resonate with them. I would say, going back to the first part of your question, though, Laura, is that we want to have something that's long enough for the client to express what made a difference for them without censoring them. If they want to write long, let them write long, because if you can publish it on a website, you're not constrained. Maybe you want something that's an abbreviated or just the first sentence for, say, a social media post. You could say, read the full testimonial here, and then click back over to that page somewhere else. Does that answer the
We're
question?
also finding from a compliance review standpoint, it's a great idea at that point to see if they will sign off. You know, a paper trail of back and forth, may we use this, is great. Some of our advisors have broker-dealer compliance teams that are requiring them to fill out specific paperwork. So if you're in that situation, do the legwork in advance. Getting the client, if they're willing to give a testimonial, they're certainly going to be willing to sign a form that says they are willing to give a testimonial. So cover all your bases.
In the case of Intercontinental, we also had a question that said, would you be willing to do a video testimonial? And none of their clients wanted to, but I bet it's just a matter of time if they go out again that they'll get some clients who do want to do video testimonials like Blue Chip did. So here is one of the testimonials from one of their impressive clients who has a lot of clout in the community. And then here's how we use the testimonials on social media, on their website. I'm just going to see if I can get us a better view here. Oh, here we go. In an email, we actually had a little holiday video that we created for them. And then here's how they use the client testimonials in some old photos, because they didn't have video testimonials of their clients. They just had old photos of them with their clients. And so we thought that this would be nice because this firm is over 30 years old and they were celebrating an anniversary. So a couple of ways that we have used the content for IWA, Intercontinental, but it was easier than they thought. And again, we got lots and lots of good content that helped them stand out from other firms. And they said to us, our clients are really our best advocates, and this was so worth the effort. If we look quickly at HCR, because I know we're coming up against time, HCR has plenty of videos on their site. And I know Decanter did, I think, all of their videos, if not most of them, all of them. And they're on their niches, but I don't think they ever did the client testimonials, did they?
They did not. Yeah, they did some specific stories about how they cater to very specific niche audiences, not client testimonials, though. Like these quotes are great.
But they have written testimonials, and these resonate with each of their ideal client personas. Here's one on the page for people who are going through a divorce, with someone who benefited by working with HCR when they were going through a divorce. Here's something that's on their athletes and entertainers page, and you can see that it's a former NFL center. So it's a pretty short, concise sentence from both of them. And of course, these were all approved by the clients in advance. So as a capstone to this little mini course on using testimonials, gathering them and utilizing them, whether it's written or video format or something else that you could dream up, I wanted to make sure that the audience had access to these two resources. On the right, you'll see my blog. It's the shortcut is marieswift.com to get there. My partner, Johnny Swift, and I have a lot of content on the blog about anything and everything related to marketing and PR for advisors, including testimonials. And then this is a quick read. You see this screenshot of the article that Johnny wrote for wealthmanagement.com, how advisors can utilize testimonials in their marketing efforts. So take a look at those, and you can get in touch anytime with me through email or through my website. And I know Laura and Sharon and Idea Decanter also have a lot of great ideas and are a great resource for all of you.
I would just add, Marie, that we pulled some statistics, and one we found really interesting was that 72% of consumers say positive testimonials and reviews increase their trust in a business, and 70% of people trust reviews and recommendations from strangers. There is such power in the social proof of going to, for example, that HCR landing page for divorcees and seeing a quote from someone who is in your situation, even though you don't know them. It makes you immediately begin to trust HCR, that they know what they're doing and that they can do the same for you.
You know, that's a great point. And another thing that I've learned, and I don't know where I learned this, but I believe it's true, that when you have a negative review or a somewhat lukewarm review, it's actually not a bad thing, because people think if you've got all 5-star reviews, all glowing testimonials, that maybe you engineered that. So having something that says, you know, I have this to say that wasn't quite right. Just like when I go to look at Airbnbs, I read the reviews. And if somebody says, you know, everything was great, but the stairs were too steep for me, it's like, okay, that sounds pretty honest. And the steep stairs are not a concern for me.
Which I think is a salient point, especially with those Google reviews, because from the interpretation I've heard of the SEC ad rule, you can't cherry pick. So you can't go in and delete negative reviews that people leave for you. But it offers legitimacy. You know, you hear that any press is good press, kind of age old adage. And I think the same applies for Google reviews. It gives people a full picture, right?
Absolutely. So I have bonus content if you want to switch to PR, or we can just stay on this topic. Go ahead.
I would love you to work that in, because marketing really is the basis for your brand, and PR is the way you're getting it out there, from what I understand from
it can be
the magic you're working with Idea Decanter.
Well, they go hand in hand, because PR also has that SEO aspect. It also has social proof, because if you were good enough to be quoted by a member of the press, well, maybe you're better than the average advisor down the street. So I believe that having PR in a marketing plan is really important. And we call it credibility marketing at Impact Communications. So I think about the content that you create as content that you own. So you want to own the content, create the content, and video testimonials and videos and blogs, that can all be part of it. But you also want to earn credibility through that social proof. And some of that can be being seen in media outlets where your best audience, your best clients and prospective clients are going to be. So here's how Impact does it. We're in all the places where our best clients are reading, watching, viewing. We also create our own content. We own it. So we have our own video series and podcast series, and we get awards and we amplify all of that online. So think about how you can step into almost thinking of your company as a production, a media production firm. I know it might sound daunting, but you've got great sources, resources like Idea Decanter and Impact Communications and others who can help you with content. Content 151 is another great library, marketing library. Many of you may not have ever heard of it, but Shauna Ohm and Content 151 do a great job helping advisors with written content. So think about how you can add more of the content that you create, but then also becoming kind of famous in your own right. Like Bonnie Raitt says, let's give them something to talk about, because if people have more to talk about, you're in the news, it's something easy to share, it actually can create more of a viral spiral for you out there online. It also gives you a great way to create a humble brag. Here's one of our clients, Fidata Wealth, and all of their articles over the years have been framed in a nice way and put on a brag wall in their office. And clients, while they're waiting to get a cup of coffee or that glass of water, they see these. They won't read them all, but wow, it's impressive. And of course, we saw earlier how Blue Chip has their brag wall. They're in the news page on their website in a digital fashion. All of these media articles, whether you're quoted or you're published as the author, can be harnessed back into email campaigns and social media, amplifying what you're doing with all the other content that you're creating. And so in closing, I wanted to leave you with my quick and easy credibility formula. If you're not doing media, you can start by just reading some of the local publications and then feeding them an idea. So I call that read and feed, or if you watch and feed or listen and feed, you get the idea, right? Pay attention to the journalist's work. And if you see something that they are interested in, that you could amplify, add to, provide you some comments for, or an idea that they haven't yet covered, send them that idea. And it might take a while, but it's like any drip marketing effort. You can build that relationship and that share of mind over time. So number one, you want to get slightly famous because your clients, that makes them feel good about you. If you are validating or validated by media outlets and by client testimonials, you want to be slightly famous. You want to participate in a tribe or tribes. That would be where people congregate, where they have similar psychographics, that's their values and their ethics, or their demographics, or maybe both. You want to have that micro influence in front of them, build that public persona, build that stature. And it doesn't have to be a big group. It can be that micro influence that you're exerting. For instance, we worked with an advisor who started a podcast. And she works with women who are going through transition and women with money and the power of the purse. And oftentimes they're divorced or they have built their own wealth. But her podcast didn't gather a lot of followers because that wasn't what it was intended to do. It wasn't intended to be, thousands and thousands. It was intended to resonate with her best clients and the people that they would refer. So then, of course, once you get famous, once you get those testimonials, you want to amplify everything online, your web, your email, your social. And then the other thing that I would say in parting is that too many advisors shrink away from the limelight. If you've got a halo, if other people are saying you're good enough, you're good, you deserve to be in this article, we love working with you, go ahead and step into that limelight, accept that halo, because you actually do deserve it. So don't be too shy.
I love that brag wall idea of media mentions, and I could see the same thing with client testimonial quotes. Imagine the power of a prospect walking into your reception area and seeing quotes on a wall.
That's a great idea. We hadn't thought of that yet, but Intercontinental did that brag wall for testimonials on their website, and it would be so easy to get those old photos and to put some client comments and attribution to them on a physical wall for their open houses coming up.
Marie, this has been fabulous. I would invite anyone who's with us today and has a question for Marie to stick around. But first, we want to invite you to next month's AVA, we're going to be talking about elevating your client experience with Jackie Wilkie. If you don't follow Jackie on LinkedIn, you should. She travels the country, works with advisors, and does a lot of sharing on LinkedIn about these unique client experiences the teams she works with are providing. Every time I read one of her posts, I just soak up these fabulous ideas I never had. So Jackie's next month. We hope you'll join us. That is going to be on Thursday, November 16th at, I believe, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, we're shaking up the date. So change your calendar. And then, as always, we like to end with a quote. I found this from David Greer, who's a business coach up north of the border. A customer talking about their experience with you is worth 10 times that which you write or say about yourself.
Thanks for joining us for the ABA. Thank you so much, Marie, for sharing your insights. If anyone has a question, stick around. Otherwise, go out and have a great day.